Hey everybody, welcome to Oasis of Liberty. If you like our video and are interested in the discussion of our country's future, then please subscribe and check us out at oasisofliberty.com. We are really excited and we have many more videos to come, so hope you enjoy it. The first thing you need to know to understand the financial crisis is what an economic bubble is. An economic bubble is defined as, quote, trade in high volumes at prices that are considerably at variance with intrinsic values, end quote. This basically means unnaturally high demand. So let's take the housing bubble, for example. Demand for housing grew so fast that the market could not keep up. This caused the prices to soar despite the fact that tons of resources were flooding into the construction industry. But one day the market collapsed because the demand is suddenly gone. The free market uses the price system to balance supply and demand. So the real question we should be asking is what caused the demand to spike so unnaturally and then suddenly disappear entirely? Why didn't the price system work? So this is basically how it works. The interest rate is a price. Listen to that. The interest rate is a price. Just like the price of bread at the store, the interest rate is the price you pay for access to money you have not yet earned. The interest rate would be low when there are plenty of real funds available. If consumers have been working and saving money, then interest rates are low because banks have tons of capital. There's tons of supply. There's been a surplus of production. People have been working, businesses have been producing, and there is so much excess wealth that it can be loaned out at a low price to anyone who needs it. On the other hand, the interest rate is high when no one has been saving, everyone has been spending, and all the money needed for loans has all been spent. The interest rate rises in order to prevent businesses from further expansion since consumers can't purchase anymore. And high interest rates encourage consumers to start saving and paying off debt. But in a normally functioning system, while interest rates still obviously fluctuate like anything else, they should never be extremely low or extremely high, because when it begins to move in one direction, consumers and producers would quickly change their behavior in response. Just like the price of bread keeps us from having neither a massive shortage of bread or horribly overstocked shelves with no one to buy them. Our situation right now is basically the horribly overstocked shelves with no one to buy them. So again, why did the demand skyrocket, prices soar, the supply of housing to increase rapidly, but then suddenly, without warning, the demand vanishes? Why didn't the interest rate balance supply and demand like the price of bread does? Guess what the Federal Reserve's #1 job is? Controlling the interest rate. Price controls. Remember the mile-long gas lines in the 70s? Yeah, that's what price controls do. The Fed lowered interest rates to extremely low levels, and at the same time, government passed all kinds of affordable housing legislation in order to help the economically underprivileged, aka people without money, to buy a house. A very honorable cause, but with typical government results. So the Fed lowers interest rates, and demand for credit shoots through the roof. Ah, the boom economy. Everyone is buying everything, and producers are in a never-ending expansion project. The problem? There's a point that has to be reached sooner or later. The point where the average family can go no further into debt, even at incredibly low rates. This is the bust, and it hurts every time. The Federal Reserve basically stole demand from the future and created a temporary boom. What we have today is a Walmart supercenter in which every shelf is stacked to the brim with bread, but consumers have maxed out their credit cards and cannot purchase another loaf. So what is our government doing to fix it? Extending our credit limit. Sounds like a really bad idea all of a sudden, doesn't it? So to sum up, the Federal Reserve does incorrectly, inefficiently, and at the cost of billions and sometimes trillions of wasted dollars what the natural price system does almost perfectly for free. So the only way out of our current economic situation is to let interest rates fluctuate freely so that consumers start saving and stop borrowing. Instead, our wise leaders are sending us further into debt and keeping interest rates at zero in order to steal demand from even further into the future in an effort to prop up the imbalance they created for us today. The Roaring '20s, followed promptly by the Great Depression, suddenly makes a lot more sense, doesn't it? Sometimes it's hard to see the real cause of something when everyone is yelling about the symptoms. The irresponsible lending and speculation were all consequences of the government arbitrarily changing the price of debt. You realize banks were actually borrowing money from the government, lending it to people who couldn't afford it, and then selling it back to the government for a profit. So luckily, now you know the real cause of the financial crisis, and I hope you join us for our next videos and check us out at our website, and keep watching.